Hi everyone, welcome to EpicTV interview. So as you know, in this feature, we like to bring you some of the world's most inspiring, motivated and dedicated athletes. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Ana Campbell today. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Cool. Well, I have a description of you. Maybe you can fill me in if I'm forgetting something, but you're an adrenaline athlete, you're a qualified personal trainer and nutritionist, and you're above all a passionate wildlife advocate. Am I forgetting something? It's pretty much sums you up, right?
Sounds like a good summary.
Cool. Well, you weren't always that, obviously. You started off as a kid, and your story is amazing. So let's start at childhood.
Living in Kenya, you often, take the opportunity to go out into the bush on safaris and that kind of thing. And it's also a lot of people that work here and that are family, friends, and you're surrounded by are often working within conservation projects or doing safaris. So you get to hear and learn about how the whole system works from a very young age.
And you also found your path, I guess, whilst you were in the UK, because you transitioned from boarding school girl to adrenaline athlete. How would you define an adrenaline athlete?
I think I chose that term because I didn't... extreme sports, I'm not sure. I'm kind of just drawn to sports that are a real challenge and do give you that adrenaline rush. So it's anything really that gives me that feeling of excitement and adrenaline. Kite surfing, wakeboarding, rock climbing.
And then later in life, you had to make critical decisions. So you had to choose between a kind of Hollywood job at Fox or joining a show, which is what I mostly want to talk about today, called Last Woman Standing on the BBC. So was that like a no-brainer, or did you have to kind of weigh your pros and cons?
Yeah, I weighed that decision for a very long time. And it's strange that I did because my personality now would completely take me towards Last Woman Standing. But at the time, I think the credit crunch had just hit and all my friends were coming out of university and kind of the whole there's no job thing was hitting me. And there was that atmosphere where I lost track for a little while. And I absolutely thought, right, this is my golden opportunity. This will give me a career path. And but then I think I love travel and I love tribes, and that's what I love, and that's where I learned that lesson. You've got to do what makes you happy, and you've got to just hope that if you keep doing that, it'll all be okay.
Can you explain what the show was about, what the concept was?
So we were sent off to 6 different tribes around the world. We didn't know where we were going until the airport of each country and each tribe, and then we were given a week to. We were thrown in and adopted by a family, and then we had a week to train at their sport, the tribal sport. And then at the last day of that week, we had to fight not the other 5 athletes we were with, and then the locals themselves.
One of the main tribesmen challenged you to shoot at an aim because you thought you wouldn't be able to do it, and you ended up doing it, and you apparently were quite smug about it. Was that your proudest moment on the show?
Oh, I had to break down 2 banana trees.
You had to do what? Okay, I want to talk about that.
We never had to hit a target, but at one point in my training for Kali stick fighting, I was being trained on my own because my partner had injured herself, sadly. And so it was really intense for me. And our hands were pretty much raw at this point. But we had to hold tight these baton sticks. And, I'd just come to the end of my training and I had no skin left on my hands. It was really painful. And he turned around to me and he said, right, cut down that banana tree. With my stick. So I just walked towards this banana tree with a completely fine face and just hacked it apart and somehow got it down. I mean, the pain, blisters are tiny, but they are so painful. And then I did that one, and then he turned to me and said, okay, and now that one, which was just a complete piss take, but I did them both, and he knew I had it in me. He was an incredible trainer.
Was everything real? But I'm guessing it was, right?
Almost to our dismay. I mean, we really weren't given much attention. If we weren't fed, it was, our responsibility to go and find food or to do something to get food. And if we were ill, the first port of call was the tribal shaman, who, as you can imagine, often came up with an antidote that made you feel worse before better. So it was great. We really were put into the deep end.
And do you feel that the show and the filming was respectful to local cultures and the tribes? And
absolutely, it really was. I mean, each tribe got something that they wanted out of it. So that was great. And a lot of information was given to them about what we were doing and why. So yeah, no, I think it was great, and it was interesting for them to also meet us.
And so after the show, you got a degree in film and television?
I mean, I did a lot of extreme sports filming while I was wakeboarding. So I did a lot of that and tried to get exposure for our sports clubs and things like that. And then I've recently been doing a master's in wildlife and documentary filmmaking. And with that, I want to use it to just expose all kinds of stories that I think need a voice. I'm on my last edit for my first documentary now.
Okay, and are you allowed to talk about what this documentary is?
I'd love to. It's about the coexistence of Maasai and lion.
Right.
And how it's kind of pointing the finger at how national parks wasn't necessarily the best way to go with preserving wildlife in Africa. And this particular community live in the middle of nowhere, but amongst wildlife. And the interesting thing was statistics show around them wildlife and lion populations plummeting, whereas for them they're just going up. And the reason why is because they're continuing their traditional practice of moving seasonally, and they kind of understand the lion movements in their area and the wildlife movements, and they move their livestock in kind of conjunction with the movement of lion. It's really interesting, and it's been going on for centuries, and hopefully my documentary will speak for itself, and then watch out for my ivory campaign.
We will do. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Lovely to talk to you.
And you, good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.